There have been a record number of delinquencies in Ontario. That's right, Equifax just released its latest numbers having to do with the mortgage delinquencies in Ontario. And it seems as if, according to the Equifax numbers that we are just about to cover, there have been a record number of delinquencies. But as always, it could be a little bit misleading. Let's get to the numbers. I'll break down what I'm seeing on the ground and give you more context. All right, we have one of the many articles published on the latest figures. Here we have global news, record rise in Ontario mortgage delinquencies. Let's cover the numbers a little bit more specifically. Let's see what the numbers actually indicate to us. For instance, we see here Ontario mortgage delinquency rate rose to 0.24%, an increase of 71% from the same period in 2024. Now, it's important to note, it is a 71% increase to 0.24%, not even a quarter of a full percentage point. Now, keep this in mind. And the 71% increase is an increase from even less than 0.2%, around 0.1%. So while it is true that it is a record number insofar as Equifax only started covering these figures in 2012, and it is also true that it is a 71% increase. So both true that it's a record high ever since Equifax started recording these figures, and it is a 71% increase. We're talking about 0.24%. And of course, much talk of the record low interest rates here. For instance, we had ultra low interest rates, which led to very hot housing markets, such and such and such. As rates went up, those rates led to payment shock. The interest rates going up dramatically and drastically in a quick succession. Remember, after the record low interest rates and the peak of the market in 2023, we were getting 25 to 50 basis point increases every 3 months or so, with a pause here and there, but mostly increases. And of course, since most people purchase at the peak of the market with record low interest rates, this indeed did lead to some sort of payment shock. That is certainly true, especially those who are holding variable. And of course, now as the market has declined significantly, more especially for condos, of course, declined as well for houses. You're looking at a situation where you have declining values, higher interest rate payments, higher mortgage payments, and a kind of situation of status quo where you can't really sell, you can't really, offload it because you'd be selling at a loss, but also holding your current property is proving to be a significant burden. So we can easily see how increasing interest rates, especially coming off the peak, has led to this payment shock, has led to this record number of delinquencies. But once again, it's only 0.24%. This is where certain articles can be very misleading if you just read the headlines. 0.24% of just delinquencies. Although it is minuscule in nature in terms of the share of total properties it represents, total homeowners. And once again, keep in mind, it's delinquent, not default. So all that is true, but it's still clearly not a good sign. I mean, we are seeing a historical amount of active inventory on the market, bringing it now from the Ontario perspective, because these figures are Ontario-wide, to now the GTA and more specifically Toronto perspective. As of the recording of this video, there's something about in excess of 30,000 active listings. We'll have the complete numbers obviously once the TREB resale market report comes out. At the time of recording of this video, it is June 3rd. It's not out as of now for the May month, which May was the most recent month we had in full. So we're gonna have more precise numbers, but clearly, as minuscule as this 0.24% rate is, once again, not even a full percent, it's indicative of something. It's not a blown out engine, but it is a leaky car. It is a bit of a leak. I'm not sure if that analogy actually makes sense. I don't know much about cars, but what I'm trying to tell you is it's not as if it has to be everything or nothing, right? It's nothing, and it's not everything either. And of course, in many months to come, more immediately, there is another interest rate announcement in June of 2025, depending on when you're watching this. There's going to be another in September, in the fall, and in the winter. What's anticipated right now is not many cuts. Perhaps most immediate, they're going to be pausing it, maybe one cut or two cuts, 25 to 50 basis points, but it's not going to be cut fast and cut hard. I could be wrong. Let this be on the record. I could be very much so wrong about that. But depending on whether it's plateau, so they're going to pause it for the next meetings, next 3 meetings, or 2 pauses, 1 cut, you can certainly expect this not to come as major relief for a lot of mortgage holders, especially those with variable. You can expect this delinquency rate to go up a bit. Is it still going to reach the 1% or 2% threshold? I don't think so. But it is going to contribute to an increase in inventory. Whether people are getting ahead of the fact that, look, listen, we made a bad financial decision, we can't afford it, let's put it on market, take a loss. In some cases, that loss is going to be a major loss, which is what I'm seeing on the ground. We'll get to that in a second. Or it'll be a more dire, 100-kilometer-per-hour situation where it's not actually the homeowner putting on market, but it's the bank taking possession on a power of sale. Where active inventory typically stays plateau in the summer, sales typically stay plateau, prices typically stay plateau seasonally. There isn't much fluctuations that occur. In this summer, I think in terms of active inventory, more specifically, we're gonna break away from that trend. We're probably gonna see an increase in active inventory. Now, if I'm gonna put on my more optimistic hat, not even optimistic, but just going with this theme of nuance, let's be real. A major renewal cycle already happened for people in the high fours, low fives, even in some people in the mid fives to low sixes. So yes, there is another renewal cycle coming, and certainly there is going to be people who are going to be struggling, people who are going to be unable to get renewed. We always have to have the nuanced perspective here. Those people will be out there. They will contribute to the downward trend of the market. They will contribute to the inventory onto the market. But let's be real. They'll be renewing in the high threes and low fours. At least that is what my buyers right now on the ground are looking at. When I'm working with buyers, they're getting low fours, high threes, whether it's variable or fixed. Obviously, variable is a bit of a higher rate, and lender to lender, it's different. At the end of the day, that is a much more palatable situation for a lot of people renewing from record low interest rates during the peak of the market. But there's certain losses happening. The people who I'm buying from for my clients, I would say my most recent 5 purchases, the most 5 recent in chronological order, out of my most recent 5 purchases, 3, when you look at the numbers of what the seller bought at, what we're buying at, in all cases less than asking, in some cases $5,000 less than asking, in some cases, $50,000 less than asking. But when you do the numbers, when you run the numbers and see what the seller purchased it at, they're taking a loss.